Go ahead.
I'm Megan.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Sage. I'm Cassie.
And we'd like to thank you for giving us the time to present our initiative to you to increase the canopy coverage in our area with decreased budget from $14,000 to $10,000. We know that there's a limited amount of what can be done with our budget, but we hope that our efforts will begin the process that helps enhance our community's environment.
There are many ways to increase the forest canopy coverage in our community using the budget we currently have. Tree canopies benefit our community by blocking strong wind, producing shade, and filtering out bad pollutants in the air such as carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide. When planting trees, there are places that you should plant them, such as parks and boulevards, because they provide enough sun, water, and nutrition-packed soil and give enough room for the tree to grow in its full potential. Parks and boulevards it is important to have forestry knowledge throughout our community because boulevards, it is important to have knowledge throughout our community because you have to focus on what trees should be planted where. Boulevards should be, red maple and bur oak should be planted in boulevards, and hackberry and paper should be planted in parks.
To show some benefits of trees, I'll be using two examples, the Norway maple and the northern red oak. A red oak of 37 inches in a single-family residential area will have a starting value of $151. It will not raise the estate annually per year, but it will conserve 258 kilowatts of energy per hour. And the Norway maple of 37 inches in a single-family residential area will start at a starting value of $197 and will increase the estate by $6 yearly. It will conserve 321 kilowatts of energy per hour for cooling by shading, evotranspiration, having the tree canopy slow down winds, and releasing water vapor that will cool down the area. By being selective in our tree types, we can also ensure that extra runoff stormwater will help with our landscaping to less be destroyed if those events were to occur.
It is recommended that a diversity of species of trees should be planted. Following the tree inventory that the city already has, we know what trees thrive in our area. A diversity of species is not only good for the different scenery, but it's also good as well if summer shade is needed for more deciduous trees. If year-round coverage or barrier is needed, then coniferous trees should be planted in that area. It is also important that we plant a variety of species just in case a disease such as the emerald ash borer kills off a specific species. Different areas within a city will need different types of trees, not only because of the reasons mentioned above, but also to thrive in the soil and conditions where they will be planted. The tree inventory list will be used in conjunction with the factors above to determine what type of quantities of trees should be planted in any given area. The Tree City USA program calls for a minimum of $2 per capita to be spent annually. After the initial inventory and planning, then the planting process begins. The planting will continue for years so that there will be a variety of tree ages and will be a continuing but smaller effort after a few years. Shortly after starting the planting process, the ongoing management will start to maintain a healthy tree inventory, pruning, cutting, and replacing trees as needed. Without a long-term plan of planting and replacing our trees, then any urban area is bound to have a declining tree population.
When planting our trees, we want to maintain the goals of urban forestry, enhance the physical, biological, economic, and social environment of the community, keep trees healthy, and keep the costs down. Trees can give a community a feeling of care, quality, and welcome. Some trees we will think will be a great fit in our community include elm trees. New Harmony and Valley Forge types have great levels of disease tolerance, can handle air pollution and poor soil conditions, and still look like traditional elms. We want to maintain the hackberry population and introduce some more red and white pine trees into parks. We will increase the oak population because they provide great canopy coverage, homes for animals, and increased diversity in the tree community. We We will plant container trees because they are much lighter than ball and burlap trees, which can save on shipping costs and makes them easier to handle. We'll be planting mid-sized trees because they will make a more immediate impact and stand a better chance of survival than young trees. They also cost about $84 to maintain annually, as opposed to $100 for small trees. By planting these trees, we are improving air and water quality, reducing air temperature, noise, ultraviolet radiation at ground level, and building energy use, and increasing property values. Trees can increase land value by as much as 20%. After planting our trees, we need to keep them healthy. We also have a few ideas to keep the cost down. We could start an adopt a tree program. People could adopt a tree for around $40 and receive a certificate of ownership to that tree. We could also have a volunteer tree care program. People or businesses would be given a watering can and information on how often to water a certain tree and how much water to give it. They would also receive a certificate to show that they are the caretaker of the tree.
Our plan would have to account for the various diseases, invasive species, storm events, and old age affecting trees. Possible diseases that could hurt the trees include, but are not limited to, oak wilt and Dutch elm disease. Both are aggressive fungi that penetrate the water vessels in the tree's roots and often kill the trees. To help treat and stop the diseases, we could mark them with a flag. Then we could prune the dead areas of the tree if possible. Certain fungicides, such as Arbortec 20S, can help treat the trees. If the tree dies, we will remove it immediately. And to help stop the spread of disease, the trees need to be planted with enough space between one another. Invasive species that could possibly harm the trees include the emerald ash borer, which is a beetle that eats the foliage of those trees, and the Egyptian moth, which feeds on the leaves and eats as much as it can. To try and stop these invasive species, insecticides like BTK can control the population around trees. Or if the species is noticed early, we can remove the egg masses as soon as they are seen. Storm events can also be an issue to the trees. Even though they can't be prevented, they can still be treated. High winds is the main event that can harm the trees. If a tree is damaged from wind, they can be pruned or removed and completely destroyed. When trees reach an old age or become unhealthy or unsafe, they can be removed and recycled for firewood or other wood products. We recommend that when trees die from disease, invasive species, storms, etc., that be replaced with trees that would increase diversity in the tree population. The trees would include bur oak, red pine, white pine, and red oak. Not only would it increase the diversity, but oak trees provide great canopy and homes for animals. To prevent them from catching oak wilt, we will plant them far enough from one another.
A good way to show the social benefits of may also be a good way to get the community more involved in our efforts by volunteering. By setting aside a small amount of land for a raised bed community garden with a reasonably small orchard, by getting the community involved in the harvesting, we can sell the crop and use the profit for future efforts in increasing the canopy, as well as helping the local economy. To ensure that it stays in good condition, we should create a community ordinance to help maintain the garden. We could also ask local high schools to see if their senior hours for volunteering hours for upcoming seniors could be put forth by volunteering at this garden or to help maintain the trees, as well as overall keeping the community clean by taking care of litter, maintenance, water, weeding, grooming, etc. We could also go to nonprofit organizations like NRDC, Earthworks, and Tree Hugger to help with getting more money for our project.
The Tree City USA program is a national program that provides the framework for community forestry management for cities and towns across America. The 4 standards are a tree border department, a tree care ordinance, a community forestry with an annual budget of $2 per capita, and an Arbor Day observance and proclamation. Street tree ordinances primarily cover the planting and removal of trees within right-of-ways. Tree protection ordinances are primarily directed at providing protection for native trees and trees with historical significance.
We thank you all for listening